So the sermon that's supposed to be preached is this one. This is the birthday of the church. If the Holy Spirit had not come to Peter and to the disciples, they would have remained locked up in their rooms, frightened of the authorities that had killed Jesus. There would have been no Christianity. There would have been no movement that followed Jesus. We wouldn't be here. For Christians, this Pentecost Sunday is a big Sunday because it is the reason that generations who never ever met Jesus of Nazareth personally can still be people of faith, can still be people who experience the call and the draw that Jesus' philosophy and his stories and his person gave. The Spirit opens our eyes. The Spirit weaves through people, weaves through communities. The Spirit, when we're seeped in the Spirit, when we're grounded in the Spirit, is the thing that makes the church a movement rather than a club. When we're recognizing that things are going to go in ways that we can't even imagine, but they feel faithful, consistent with Jesus' philosophy, with the teachings of loving our neighbor and loving one another, and then we get drawn into things, well, we never expected to. So that's what the sermon is supposed to be about today, that the Spirit empowers and equips the church. I want to tell you a different sermon, because I have to say today, I'm quite pumped by St. Aidan's United Church. There's a lot of things that if you don't hear them together, you don't recognize them. So I want to just try to tell you the story of St. Aidan's United Church as I experience it today. About a year ago at this time, we took a big risk because we wanted to energize our music program. It was tough going at moments. We didn't know what we thought of it. But folks, it's a year later, and look at the music, and look at the choir. Look what's been achieved. That's the Spirit at work. We didn't know how it would turn out, but wow, that's often the response to the Spirit. Did you folks see Matthew come up from the back and just fix the mic just there? About a year and a half, 2 years ago, we recognized that our traditional youth group model wasn't working. It was like flogging a dead horse. We could see that we had to focus on the Sunday school in order to rebuild. And there was no point putting our resources into youth ministry. Youth ministry in the way of running a youth group. But then we've been hiring Sunday school teachers who are youth. We've put in place a leader in training, a junior leaders, so that we're preparing the young folks in our congregation to move into Sunday school leadership. We've got Matthew and Zara doing the sound system. And I understand from last week's excellent service while I was away, that they just handled it, even though it was different than usual. This week, we have hired the coordinator for our summer student group of 4 who are going to be running a seniors camp, a kids camp here, and a kids camp at Cadborough Bay, and hopefully doing a barbecue down at First Met in the inner city. Isn't that mind-blowing? All these little building blocks that the Spirit has been kind of synergizing. Julie is a professor out at Royal Roads. She's made up 3 projects, research projects, to happen out of St. Aidan's. And she has established us this year as a partner with Royal Roads University. We're a place that they sent students last year. It was a good experience. They're going to send them again. There's going to be about 6 young people who are going to be coming and asking us questions and kind of researching and doing their thing in our midst. Wow. Julie, also, she's a bit of a mover and shaker, kind of spirit-led person. So she's gonna talk to us in an upcoming Sunday about the meeting that she went to, because St. Aidan's was recognized by the intercultural ministers of the United Church, and Julie got invited to attend their annual meeting. We're one of 3 churches that have an intercultural person on staff. And she went. She's going to tell us about it. But I want you to think about 2.5 years ago when we said we wanted to be intercultural because we recognized our neighborhoods were changing. Look at us. Look at the presence in the choir, in the congregation. It's not done, but we're doing it. The Affirm thing, the presence of gay and lesbian and being a safe place for people who are bi and trans and queer and two-natured. We're going to have a big celebration of that at the end of this month. And we're going to find out, how do we take the next step in being allies? In saying, this is where we stand. This is who we are in support of. And we believe in love, whatever form it takes. are doing this. I feel the presence of the Spirit blowing through this congregation of St. Aidan's. There's probably a lot more things that I could say. This afternoon we've got the 3-hour meeting about the merger with Cadbur Bay. We are talking about something that we didn't ever think we'd be talking about, because it would be just business as usual. But now we're talking about saying, you know, the picture for the United Church is changing so significantly in Victoria. If you look back 5 years and look ahead 5 years, it's going to be different. And so we're saying, how do we place ourselves to be a continuing presence, a strong presence? That's what we're talking about. We're talking about a merger that takes this wonderful inclusivity and pivots it into something that can be sustainable and that is paying attention to the region, the whole region, so that if a church gets into trouble, we'll be saying, okay, that area now needs the United Church presence. How will we provide it? That's a work in progress. What I'm saying is that when Peter was frightened in the room and scared for what might happen to him if he went out, there was a Spirit came and empowered and equipped him to not only go out, but to go into the marketplace and stand right under the noses of the officials and to make a public declaration of who he was and who he followed and how he was going to do that. Probably at the end of that day, you know, Peter said, wow, how did that happen? Well, it's the work of the Spirit. It's happening here. And wow. Just wow. Thanks for listening.